Welcome to the big show.
He could go all the way.
Oh, America! Are you serious? It is showtime, baby. Here we go. Slam, jam, slam, bam. It's
for this.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. Move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. Give it up, go.
Welcome to the big show. Simply wait.
And welcome to Cold War Radio, ladies and gentlemen, live on our home base, WAAR, We Are America Radio, your number one source for streaming political and government talk anywhere. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr., deep down in the bunker in my Smith & Wesson studio in the city of Pittsburgh. You can follow me on Spreaker, like the Facebook page, facebook.com/Cold War Radio, 2 A's in war, Cold War Radio. We are an iHeartRadio program, and I didn't get this into the show notes template yet. It's in for the next episode. But you can catch the show on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, YouTube, Blueberry, Roku, just all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. I had forgotten about providing the RSS feed to Blueberry, so you can go on your Roku and find Blueberry. There's no A in Blueberry. It's Blueberry. And you can stream it on Roku, both shows. The email is scrtv@live.com. The call-in line, 412-567-1460. The chat room is up on Spreaker. Go to steelcityresistance.blogspot.com, and you can catch all the links to all that. You can check out the show notes, and if you can help, hit the donate button on the website. That is what purchased the apps. You can go to the iPhone store, the Google Play store, and get a free app for your iPhone or iDevice or Android or anything like that. We're here on a new night, ladies and gentlemen. New night, new co-host, straight out of the Netherlands, Dutch Norway Jr. No, Mr. Norway. Good evening, sir.
Здравствуйте, Hutch Bailey Jr., товарищ. Добрый вечер. Рад тебя видеть. This is Cold War Radio's foreign correspondent, Norway, calling from up by the Russian border. Good evening, Hutch.
Good evening, sir. I like that. That sounded really good, I'm telling you. Just glad to have you. This is the new co-host. He's not a special guest. He's a new co-host for Monday night Cold War Radio. We had to move to Monday due to the extended programming of the Wayne Dupree program on Friday. And make sure you get the Wayne Dupree program tonight after this show. Big announcement over there. I'm going to let Wayne take care of that. I'm not going to let the secrets out yet, but you got to go there for a big announcement. We also have a GoFundMe page, ladies and gentlemen, GoFundMe.com/Cold War Radio. And I already mentioned the app, which is really nice. I mean, they're saying in the chat room that they like it. You can join the chat room right from the app, take the show wherever you go. So that's a good development. Now, Norway, I'm not sure how closely you're following. I'm going to think you are, but I don't know to the extent that you can get what all media you get from the United States at your location. But a really good radio talk show host and Fox News commentator that I really like, Laura Ingraham, is considering a run for the Senate in Virginia. And man, I could get behind that campaign.
Absolutely. I'm a great fan of Laura Ingraham. Absolutely. So I would be behind that.
I would have liked to see her in this administration. I thought she would have been an excellent choice for somewhere in the communications division of the administration, if not the spokesman, then at least something. Just she was rock solid throughout the whole campaign, in direct contrast to almost every one of her Fox News partners. I mean, she was really no nonsense. I was very proud of her throughout some of the days when you'd see the squish. You'd see the squish coming out of Charles Sauerkraut Hammer or the rest of them. It was just she was always steadfast, always a bedrock.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I believe she was considered for a post, but I'm not sure what happened. I seem to remember that she came to Trump Tower one day, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. I think probably what happened there is Sean Spicer was closer to the campaign and very effective, and has been effective so far. So there, 8 years is a long time. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Unfortunately, there were some accusations that surfaced about another Fox News contributor, Monica Crowley, who was slated. She was actually asked to take a position as communications director for the National Security, I don't want to say council, but she was going to be in national security. And then some accusations came out about some plagiarism that occurred. It was some papers that she wrote, and even in a book that she wrote. And unlike Joe Biden, who was accused and went on to become the vice president, this is the stark contrast between the left and the right. She immediately did not want to put any of her stink on the Trump campaign and backed out of that. That's what Republicans do.
Okay, but you think there actually was a stink on Monica Crowley, or was it just slander?
Well, I think it was plagiarism. They called some specific things out, and some. I think it was minor. It was more along the lines of failure of attribution. In other words, the show note or the footnotes in some of her writing, some of the different passages weren't as accurate as they could have been. I don't really think it's a big deal. My main point for bringing it up is I kind of like Monica Crowley, and I especially wanted to draw the contrast. Democrats never give up. They will get into office no matter what they do, and it's shameful.
Absolutely. And there is such a double standard on this because, the flat-out crimes they get away with on the left, it's unbelievable. And maybe candidates on the Republican side are pussyfooting a little around this because, well, I can't help having this feeling that nobody wants to be the rotten apple, and I don't know the Monica Crowley case, but even the smallest things seem to deter people from actually joining the team. So I feel there is a double standard here between the honesty of the good people on the right side and the left side in American politics.
I do as well, and I also think that there's an element of cowardice on the right also. I just have to put that in there. It's something that I've been watching for years, but the integrity that people like Donald Trump, and I will say, not a huge fan of George W. Bush. However, aside from some operational aspects, I thought he was a good commander-in-chief. I remember when he first came into office, he was replacing the Clintons, and I inquired about a position in the administration, and I got a letter back, and it basically said, if you have any inkling of any stink on you, don't even return this letter. You know, and I was like, I'm not even going to return this letter.
Okay.
But the point is that they were looking for integrity.
Yeah.
They didn't want any of these sleazy people like Biden. And there's a list of them that this goes as far as the eye can see. I mean, you look at these people now, and you think about what they're doing, these Democrats that are refusing to recognize the legitimacy of the Trump presidency and refusing to go to the inauguration. And, you know, I heard Bill Bennett, former Secretary of Education, or some kind of czar, too, that basically what these people are doing is they are opting. These people have sworn oaths to the Constitution, which they're now reneging on by what they're saying as not recognizing the president, and they are actually opting out of the American experience by doing this. I heard Bill Bennett say that, and I never heard it put that way, but that's exactly what they've done.
But I feel that this problem, the problem we see now is, honesty is good. Don't get me wrong. We need honesty. I mean, it's really time to clean the swamp. But I think some of the problems we see now with people that, I mean, nobody is perfect. But when you have 90% of the journalists being registered members of the Democratic Party, that's I mean, when you see what comes out from that side now, it's really bad. And I don't think Donald Trump or anyone else want to see this enormous noise. The smallest thing will generate. So I think there's a solid portion of allergies for the smallest stink, and I feel that, I believe in the end, no matter what this administration does in regards to the pigs, the media, they will cook up something on each and every one of them, no matter what. I mean, you could elect Mother Teresa and they would still cook up something. So the question is, how radical will this administration have to be in their picks in regards to clean bill of health on absolutely every account?
And you know what it does? The actual effect is that it keeps, like you said earlier, it keeps good people out of government because they don't want to go through it. I mean, and how can you blame anybody? I'm amazed that Donald Trump did this. I mean, I'm still in awe that he subjugated himself or put himself in a position to take all this abuse, and he could live the life of just complete luxury.
Absolutely.
For the rest of his life without building another building.
Yeah.
And for him to come out there and strap on that bulletproof vest that I didn't know he had on until a friend interviewed him and saw it is amazing to me. Now, Norway, I sent you the show notes for tonight's show, and you immediately pointed out that the first point I wanted to talk about was an old story. I mean, you talk about fake news. Originally, the title of the story, and I thought it was so interesting because of you coming on as co-host was, and this is like yesterday or today, hundreds of U.S. Marines land in Norway, Irking, Russia. And you wrote back to me that this was old news, and I went back into my searchable show notes for just such an occasion and realized that on February 18th, almost a year ago, from Cold War Radio episode 303, we already reported this. That was the story where, and I'll just read a little excerpt of this to set the stage. This is from CNN. Marines are pre-positioning battle tanks, artillery, and logistics equipment inside Norwegian caves as the U.S. pushes to station equipment near the NATO-Russian frontier. And, I looked at that, and any gear that is forward deployed both reduces cost and speeds up our ability to support operations in crisis, so we're able to fall in on gear that is ready to go and respond to whatever that crisis may be, Colonel William Bentley, operations officer for the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Brigade, said in a statement Friday on the Norwegian deployment that called the caves classified. Now, this is classic Cold War.
Yeah, well,
material.
I know where the caves are. Everybody knows where the caves are. I mean, you can't miss it from the road. I mean, it's like a highway up to the caves from the airport. So, yeah, I'm not far from them actually. So, it's I mean, even that isn't news because Americans and Norwegians have been storing equipment there for. Since it was built, they started the building in the 1980s, I believe. So, and they've been expanding this facility. So, they got more facilities, of course, but this is the main facility in this area.
And you can go back to the show notes links, Cold War Radio 303, and we did a detailed report and analysis on it. And I mean, we used to do this throughout Europe. I mean, we had Pomkis sites all over the place. We even had them in the ocean. But let's welcome Hickory to the program from Florida. Good evening, Hickory.
Yeah, I remember in 1972, I come back from the Med, and they wanted me to go on a NATO cruise right away. I told them I was going to go buy a car, and they went on up there, and a black Marine raped a woman in Norway. And I think that put a kibosh on it for a while. But, Hutch, how you were talking about Trump has subjugated himself to all the.
I think I picked the wrong word.
Well, yeah, but I'm not disputing that. What people are not putting together is it's not just a political onslaught. The media is so complicit that they have to be taken down in a RICO with the government, both sides of the government being corrupt, both sides of the aisle. It has to really be shook out. No one can come against them with the media in their pocket, and that's the problem.
And I think that's why I said that the most important selection that Donald Trump made was the Attorney General. And do you think that Jeff Sessions is up to the task? Because he's the only one that can do it.
Well, Jeff Sessions is an honest man. That's something we haven't had in that position for probably longer than I've been alive.
Well, we did have one in Richard Thornburg. I'll say that. I personally knew that man, and that man was squeaky clean.
Yeah, but, Dick Thornburg had other issues, and he was a Pennsylvania politician. You don't get into Pennsylvania politics without owing somebody.
Well, this is true, and you can probably say that unfortunately, about 99% of all politicians, unless you're a billionaire.
Well, yeah, Pennsylvania was a Democrat stronghold. I can remember working for a assemblyman in New Jersey in the 1970s, probably around 1976, and James Carville was helping I guess it was Casey, and was running for governor, and he was around there then. Carville's been to Venezuela. Look at that. He's helped them over there in Israel, and look at that. And it has to be shown to be what it is. when I say a RICO, undoubtedly, all these people that are against Trump are truly worried about their future and their freedom. As much freedom as they wanted to take from us can be taken from them if the cards are played correctly.
Norway? Well, all right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Pennsylvania is famous for having some of the weakest Republicans in the country, really. I mean, when you have a governor, a Republican governor, and a Republican Senate, and a Republican House of Representatives and state government, and they can't get rid of state-run liquor stores, there's a problem.
Yeah, let's just take care of Mohegan Sun, and everything will be fine. But
yeah. Hey, thanks for calling, Hickory. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir, buddy.
So, Norway, back to the caves here for a second.
Yeah.
Then this story comes out today that these 300 U.S. Marines landed in Norway, like they were coming in, like paratrooping in or something like that. And it's apparent to me now that all they're doing is falling in on this equipment to probably maintain it and maybe exercise it or something of that nature, or inventory it, make sure it's all still there.
Well, actually, I'm not aware of the infrastructure they got in their area, but they are like 900 miles away from the Russian border, and I don't think they have a lot of equipment there. Maybe some, but further north, where I am, is really the stopping point where we all, as cold warriors, were supposed to wait for the Russian invasion. So, this is mainstream media cooking up a shitstorm again, because.
Well, and the thing is, really, if you think about it, the story should be the brigade combat team that landed in Poland.
Absolutely. But it seems like they're trying to make some sort of a pile-on here, because you have the situation in Poland, which is tense. I would say it's a tense situation, and it didn't have to be tense, but the entire geopolitical situation with the EU and the Obama regime, etc. They're trying to increase the tension, and
absolutely.
It's this story from Reuters today that you sent me, with the title that hundreds of U.S. Marines land in Norway, Irking, Russia.
Yeah.
To me, it seems like a pylon, because this is really old news. I mean, it hardly made a shoulder shrug in the Russian embassy in Oslo. This has been planned for a long time, and we're talking about around 350 U.S. Marines that are going to be here for a 6-month deployment, training winter warfare. And this is a program that's been long in the planning. So, and I mean, they're way south in Norway. They're not anywhere near the Russian border. But it seems to me that Reuters, CNN, all these good old guys, they're trying to make a pile-on with what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on with Russia and Turkey, with what's going on with Russia and Syria, etc. The situation in Poland, and now they're trying to, through their reporting, make it seem like we need these forces here to protect us. I mean, they're not here to protect us; they're here to train.
And this is the Obama administration going out, throwing as many IEDs and landmines as he can for the incoming Trump administration. And I'll bet General Mattis is just having a fit about this. 314. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Hutch. This is Paul. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi, Paul. What's on your mind?
Listened to your show last week. Welcome to your new co-host, Norway. He had talked about the jihad of the pen last week, and I was wondering if he could expound on that subject a little bit more, please.
Yeah, well, I've had that question several times, and it seems to me that we actually might have to consider maybe setting off some time for these huge subjects, because it's important, and there is just so little time to cover everything in a short show like this. But I promised a couple of other listeners that were asking about the same thing if I could explain this, and there are really, I'll make a brief one, but I think we might use some more time in the future on these very important points, because this is really what's dictating the situation in the world, in Norway, in America now. So,
and
but
ladies
anyway,
and gentlemen, let me just interject. Norway did talk to me about this. It was late as far as this show was already set up, but we are going to expand on one or two subjects, maybe going into the future, so we can spend more time on that. I just wanted to say that for your people that were talking to you, Norway.
Yeah. Well, there are, I'll make a brief, I'll run through this briefly. There are like 4 prongs of jihad, and it's, the first prong is the jihad of the soul, or the jihad of the heart, and it's called jihad bil qalb, or jihad bil nafs. And that's the inner jihad. You could call it sort of the brainwash. So this is the inner implementation of jihad into every Islamic proponent or soldier, if you want. And there is the second prong is jihad with the tongue, or jihad with the pen, like I talked about last time. And this form of jihad, which is called jihad bil lisan, or jihad bil galam, is perhaps today in the Western societies the most dangerous jihad, because this is the jihad where you are spreading Islam through speech and writing. And there is something about the old saying that all publicity is good publicity. So this form of jihad has been extremely successful, and it's been combined with, you have the Center for American Islamic Relations, CARE, which I'm sure you know a lot about.
Soon to be deemed a terrorist organization.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, they have
lost Paul. I don't know what happened, Paul. You disconnected, but if you want to call back, feel free, or you can just listen out. It's up to you.
Okay, so this jihad by the pen is like the second prong, and perhaps the most dangerous, because it's spread through media, it's spread through the higher education, it's spread through all levels of education, really. And this is a huge part of mainstream media today. I mean, you don't see mainstream media reporting honestly about Islam. And I believe there are several journalists that know the doctrine of Islam and what it stands for and what it says really, but no one of them are willing to really tell the truth about this.
We have directors of the CIA that know everything there is to know about Islam, and they praise it.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't get me started on that. I mean, it really gets my blood boiling. Yeah. John Brennan and James Clapper there.
Brennan's a card-carrying one, though. I mean, he can speak fluent Arabic and everything.
Well, when I first heard him, I just heard a clip where he spoke Arabic, and it's like back in 2010, and I thought to myself, oh, nice, Americans got the CIA director that speaks Arabic. That's excellent. Well, I'm learning Arabic right now, so I mean, if you work in intelligence, that is an asset.
But it was the things he was saying.
But when he continued, inshallah.
Right. God willing. God being Allah.
No. Hutch, I want to arrest you on that because everybody translates Allah with God, and those two are two separate entities.
Well,
because
I mentioned where Allah is God. I got that part.
Exactly. But I feel it's very important that we try to be hygienical about this when we speak about it and say Allah when we mean Allah, because everybody translates it with God, and there's a reason why things are called the Judeo-Christian traditions and not the Judeo-Christian Islamic traditions. And the reason is simply that Allah is the moon god from Mecca.
Right.
And
moon god, that's right. That's right. The guy's laying in the tent, he's a nomad, and he starts taking moon god symbols, and they're in Islam.
Exactly, and I mean, Allah was one of the around 600 deities in Mecca when all of this started. So, I mean, it could probably have been any other deity, but well, it's a long story. But anyway, to round off this 4 prongs of jihad, we've been through the jihad of the soul and heart. We have been through the jihad with the tongue and the pen, which are perhaps the biggest one, in my opinion, and we have the jihad from the hand, which is called jihad bil yad, and it is a jihad which entails selecting what is right according to Islamic doctrine. So it pertains more to how you have all these. They need a lot of things. The Muslims need a lot of things. They need their own prayer rooms. They need halal
foot washing stations.
They need to have their time off for their Eid festivals.
They have dog-free zones.
Ramadan, dog-free zones, etc., etc., etc. So this is.
Now, I want everybody to realize that if you want to get into this, and again, this is probably going to be Monday night's focus, at least going forward for the next few weeks, and maybe longer, is going to be Islam, because obviously Norway is a very well-read scholar on this. But in the meantime, if you want some background information, if you go to the research room at steelcityresistance.blogspot.com, there's a plethora of material. I'll put out a couple. One is the Holy Land Foundation trial documents that the government uncovered. Andy McCarthy was the chief prosecutor on that. And I even had him on the program, and he couldn't tell me why they were unindicted co-conspirators. They should have been indicted conspirators. But all of those documents in their hand and translated into English are there, where they explain the different, not the different tenets like Norway was saying, but the different tactics of Islamic jihad, with immigration jihad and just so many other different types, financial jihad. But it's just great material, and there's so many others. I mean, there's just Jihad in America, all of the books of the trilogy of Islam are in there, the Hadiths, the Sunnah, and the Quran. And just a ton of things like that to check out. Let's welcome Missouri, the last scout. What's going on?
How are you doing, Hutch, and how are you doing, Norway? The
Doing
question
great. What's on your mind?
Thank you. The questions I would like to ask, and I'm going to back out so I can listen to it after I ask you, but I would like Norway to address, are there any social or political backlashes happening by the native Norwegian people against what's going on with all the Islamic movements in Norway?
Very good question, and unfortunately the answer is pretty much no. we had a while back. We had some sort of vigilantes. I think they called themselves Odin's soldiers or something like that. That wanted to, they got their own jackets and really harmless guys. They just walked the streets. They wanted to walk young ladies home from the restaurant, see that they got home, late Saturday night and stuff like that. But
probably the government immediately crushed them.
Absolutely. They were called vigilantes. As far as I know, they were never mixed up in any. Yeah. Of course, they were neo-Nazis and what have we not. So the police shut that operation down quite promptly, which is kind of funny because the police has been struggling with the tactical operations for a really long time. I mean, the Norwegian police organization is getting more and more top-heavy. I mean, there's.
Oh, that's what always happens.
I mean, there's almost one leader for every man on the street. So
that's what's happened to the CIA in the United States. I read a report from a former agent, and he said 90% of the CIA is stateside. Only 10% are out there, the tip of the spear, and they're at the mercy of these political people that were hired from both coasts, and thanks for the call. Appreciate that. Now, let's move on to something because I really want to get this in there. You were talking about it in the first segment about the media and how the media is totally taken over by these leftists. Well, the Trump team is they might not fix it, but they're going to improve it. The Trump team considers moving the press corps alarming reporters, and this is from the New York Times, and I'm not going to read this. I'm just going to give you my 2 cents. You can read it at the show notes links. This is episode 424. But they're going to allow people like Wayne Dupree. They're going to allow people like Breitbart. They're getting ready to open the doors. They have right now in the White House a former swimming pool that has been converted into cubicles for the elite media, the corporate media. And these people get in there, and they're royalty. They know everybody by name, and they're in there, and they don't want to give their territory up. Absolutely. And they're getting ready to be bum rushed. I mean, they're getting ready to be not replaced, but they're going to be joined by people in the new media. And Trump knows this, and his team is run by new media people. Stephen K. Bannon is a new media champion from Breitbart News. I mean, this is something that when I heard Alex Marlow get a question at Donald Trump, it wasn't a very good question that he asked, but his voice is horrible. But he got a question, and he's the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News, and that's never happened before. This is something that we're going to give them a fight for their money. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. But there is another aspect to this also, and that's you have RSBN that's on its way up to the inauguration now, and
they have a Washington bureau now. They have an actual office.
Yes, actually, they just opened their office in Washington, and I'm really, really excited about it because I see a lot of potential. I mean, when you look at what Joe Seals started with, a camera and a YouTube channel, and what is built until now, I mean, that guy in that company has really got a lot of potentials. And
we wish him all the luck in the world.
And a big shout out to the RSBN audience, many of which are following us right now. But anyway, this is the new media, and there is also another aspect to this. We just had this social media opening up called Gab. We have a lot of things, small fledglings that's budding all over the place, and people realize now. I don't remember the exact figure, but maybe you do, Hutch. The trust in the media is like down to 13% or something.
Yeah, it's right around the same trust that they have in Congress.
Yeah, exactly.
They're right running on the same parallel because they're interchangeable.
Exactly, and I've said all along through this campaign that mainstream media is going to burn. I'm absolutely sure.
And when you say that, a lot of times when conservatives say things like that, they leave out Fox News. Like Fox News gets a pass. Fox News is no better than MSNBC.
Absolutely. I mean, the way Fox News has run this, the coverage of this campaign is, I don't have words for it.
They're still doing it. I mean, Fox News Sunday. I mean, this guy. Come on, you're going to bring up this Russia junk again? 4 weeks later, can you leave this alone?
Yeah.
I mean, when McAfee comes out and tells you it's bull, you ought to stop talking about it. Kerry from Florida. Good evening, sir. What's on your mind?
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Bailey. Good evening, Mr. Norway. I am going to be brief. I know there is a God, right? Okay. You just heard these two gentlemen say the media is dead. You just heard the White House is making room for the new media. That's you, me, we. We just gave you examples of new media coming up. Gab to replace Twitter, RSBN, and other to replace the old. Now we have this new show with this new talent, Mr. Norway. Mr. Bailey has been generous enough and professional enough to help upgrade us all, because that's what he does every show, is he upgrades us by informing us. Folks, there is nothing but upgrade from this point out. Now, Mr. Norway.
Yes, Kerry?
Your upgrade is on its way.
Hey, thanks, Kerry.
No problem, Mr. Bailey. Thank you for your time.
That's gold words. Thank you, Kerry.
He's created a brand.
I've got the upgrade as well. Fantastic.
Now, what I'm going to do here is, because I'm watching the clock, I'm going to invert some stories, Norway. I'm going to go to the one that I have the clip on, because I think it's that important. We have a very liberal journalist named Bob Woodward. I mean, he was involved in the Watergate situation and other things, and he talks about what's going on with CNN and BuzzFeed and Carl Bernstein, and he's one of them. And when you hear a guy report like this, and ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you, there's an alliance between the conservative treehouse and RSBN, and I don't know what the political, the actual alliance is, but they put out a very good story about RSBN that was published in Politico, so it's apparent. It's the only place I saw it. But go to the conservative treehouse and follow Sundance. This guy, I'd like to get him on the show. This guy is, he covers these things like nobody else. I mean, he says...
Okay, yeah, did you say that the article from in Politico was from the conservative treehouse?
No, I said the conservative treehouse pointed to it on their website.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Sure.
And I don't go to the Politico per se unless something like that happens, so...
Absolutely, but
I was able to catch it.
That was a brilliant article. That was a fantastic article.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely.
Now, 4 political operatives at CNN, Jake Tapper, Jim Scudo, Evan Perez, and Carl Bernstein, colluded with two highly politicized, you're going to like this, two highly politicized top-level Obama administration intelligence officials, DNI, his name's not John Brenner, it's Clapper, and CIA Director John Brennan, under the auspices of leaks from anonymous senior intelligence officials on the construct of Russian narrative to undermine the incoming presidency of Donald Trump. Now, Chris Wallace is still trumpeting this. This is why I say Fox News is not our friend. Fox News hates Donald Trump, and they're using everything at their that's near them to do this. I mean, they listen. I want you to listen to Bob Woodward, and remember, as you're listening to this, he is an esteemed member of the mainstream media.
Absolutely.
But he's been there for 30, 40 years. So he doesn't have the same lack of integrity that some of the rest of these guys have. Listen up.
It should never have been had, and it should certainly never have been released.
I always wondered, what did Russia have on Donald Trump? What do you think, and this is something we discussed with both of our guests, of the way that the intelligence community handled the so-called Russia dossier? And overall, how do you think of the way they've handled Donald Trump?
I think what's underreported here is Trump's point of view on it. And you laid it out when those former CIA people said these things about Trump, that he was a recruited, agent of the Russian...
Useful fool.
Yeah, and a useful fool. I mean, they started this, and in Trump's mind, he knows the old adage, once a CIA man, always a CIA man. And no one came out and said those people shouldn't be saying things. So then Act 2 is the briefing when this dossier is put out. I've lived in this world for 45 years where you get things and people make allegations. That is a garbage document. It never should have been presented as part of an intelligence briefing. As you suggested, other channels have the White House counsel give it to Trump's incoming White House counsel. So Trump's right to be upset about that, and I think if you look at the real chronology and the nature of the battle here, those intelligence chiefs who are the best we've had, who are terrific and have done great work, made a mistake here, and when people make mistakes, they should apologize.
Yeah, well, don't count on an apology, but, there it is. And where are the Republicans, standing up for the guy? This is something, Norway, that I think is a pretty big problem, man. It's something that, I think he's going to be able to overcome it. But these people should be standing up now.
But, I mean, it's really frustrating because I have to admit, I was not on the Trump train the day Trump came down the elevator.
There's no problem with that.
But it didn't take me long to see that, wow, this is the guy that America and the world needs. It's really frustrating to see that he has to spend all this time and resources on this BS instead of concentrating about implementing his plans for a new America and a better world.
And this is the reason that I say that the conservative treehouse is so valuable, because they never fail to mention that the people that are arrayed against Donald Trump, and us, not just Donald Trump, against us.
Absolutely.
There are trillions of corrupt dollars at stake. If Donald J. Trump and Jeff Sessions and the generals and everybody else are able to explode this corruption that's been occurring for the last 50 years, since Lyndon Johnson, longer than 50 years, there's going to be a whole lot of people that are going to be broke. Trillions of dollars are at stake, and I can't talk about it in one sentence. You have to go read his material.
Absolutely.
The guy's he's got it figured out. He really does, and he had it figured out a year ago with these phony polls. And when you listen to Fox News and you listen to their phony polls about Donald Trump's popularity, don't believe them any more than when Hillary Clinton was up by 30 points.
Absolutely.
Just don't do it.
Absolutely. No, I mean, there are very few trustworthy media, if any, left. The mainstream media is pretty much, you know what, about 3 years ago, I stopped listening to them. I stopped reading them. I mean, when you have 95% lies packed in, wrapped up in this beautiful 5% of wrapping paper, with truth. I mean, it's like a constant headache. I mean, you turn on the radio in the morning and there are lies because.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you read books, I'm the kind of guy that read books. I like to know what happened in the past. Where do we come from? What's our history?
Sure.
Because it's the best predictor of future behavior. And so I think I can navigate in this world pretty good. And when you constantly are hammered with propaganda, 24/7, 365, I couldn't handle it more. So when people share things, this is important. I saw this on CNN or I saw this on Fox, and I click in on it and I read it and I watch it, but I never go there on my own anymore.
And this is what motivates us to go out and buy microphones, Norway.
Absolutely.
And that's why you're on the program here.
Absolutely.
Now let's just go real quickly to the return of Islam's child soldiers, kidnapped, enslaved, beat, and indoctrinated in Islam. Now, I saw a video the other day.
Hutch, could I?
You absolutely can.
Quickly come with a little comment here, and that's if we have anyone listening now with young children in the vicinity, maybe it's time to put them to bed. I'm saying this because this story is really not for our young listeners' ears.
Unlike the advice that the Islamic Jihad would give to their children, and this is from Front Page Magazine, David Horowitz's enterprise, and from Raymond Ibrahim, a Shillman Fellow at the David Horowitz Freedom Center. Basically, I'm going to tell you what I saw first. I saw a video, and the extended story was that they took predominantly Kurdish prisoners, and this is and they say it's the Free Syrian Army. It's not. The Free Syrian Army was knocked out a long time ago. This is the al-Nusra Front and al-Qaeda in Syria. And they took prisoners that they captured, Kurdish prisoners and others, and they tied them up on different rides in an amusement park and in a building, in a warehouse. And I don't know how many times that this happened. I only saw one episode of one kid that was maybe 7 years old, dressed up in an Islamic military uniform. And this Kurdish guy is tied up, and they let these kids go, and they went all through to find these prisoners that had been pre-positioned and tied up. And then they took these little kids, and of course there's adult supervision. And the one that I saw had a little 380 automatic, and the man chambered around in it when this little kid found one of these Kurdish guys tied up to a ride. And he chambered around, gave the pistol to the little kid. The little kid put one in the guy's face and yelled, Allahu Akbar, several times. Sick stuff, Norway. We are fighting evil. We're not fighting ideology or anything like that. We're fighting Satan.
This is organized evil. But listen, Hutch, this is surfacing now because they're commercial. It's their way of recruiting. This absolutely, and you need to read the doctrine. You need to read the fascism of Islam, where they clearly segregate non-believers from believers, and non-believers, they are called lower than the lowest creeps.
Dibbies.
I mean, kuffar,
Kuffar, too, exactly.
Kuffar is the plural form of kafir. Kafir is, it's us, basically. It's infidels, it's the non-believers. And we don't have any human rights. We're not human. We are, according to the Quran, we are lower than the lowest creeps, because when we have been given a chance to convert and we still refuse, we have two options. We can pay the jizya and become dhimmis and live under Islamic law, and jizya is like 50% of everything you own.
And it's not just a tax. You have to lower your head, lower than the Muslims' head as you walk past them. It's a total
and you have to step out in the street if they come on the pavement. You have to step out in the street and make way for them. And you cannot repair your house. It's forbidden for you to build places of worship like temples and churches. stuff like that. I mean, the list goes on. And this is the Sharia, and this is their ultimate goal. And on its way to achieve this goal, they need recruits, and this is their commercial. And I mean, this is not a human being that's being slaughtered by this toddler. I mean, I don't think the kid was more than maybe 5 years old or something.
Right, he was so young.
And but is it this Kurdish guy or Yazidi or whatever he is? He could have been a Christian for all we know. They're not human beings in the eyes of Islam because they've been given a chance to convert. They've lived in these areas for way longer than Islam, but that is, you can kill them because they've lived there for so long. They have had plenty of opportunity to convert to the only religion, because according to Islam there is only one religion in the world, and it's Islam.
That's it. Norway, unfortunately, we're out of time. How can people get in touch with you on social media?
Oh, it's at Norway for Trump, and it's written with the number 4, and that's the same tag I have on Gab.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's late. It's late in Norway. You got to thank him for coming on the program. I surely appreciate it. I'm enjoying this, and as long as you can handle it, you're going to be here.
Absolutely. I also have an email address. It's tip at norwayfortrump.com, and it's still Norway with the number 4 trump.com. And I also got the blog norwayfortrump.com.
Well, if it's an email, it's got to be at something.
Yeah, tip at norwayfortrump.com.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, there you go. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We'll see you next Monday.
Yes, thank you for spending this blessed time with us here on Cold War Radio from Norway. I wish you a brilliant inaugural week. God bless, stay safe, and stay tuned.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. on Facebook, Berg's Eye View, and Gab. Hutch Bailey Jr. on Facebook and Gab. Baile. It's the Irish type. Berg's Eye View on Twitter. Burgh. Berg's Eye View on Twitter. Thanks to everybody in the chat room and wherever you're listening from. Thanks for letting me into your life. Me and Norway into your life for 1 hour. The Wayne Dupree program coming up next. Don't miss that. Big news over there. Hey, happy Monday. God bless.